Hello, everyone. This is Decryptolorian, and welcome to Camera Culture, a new video streaming service from Well FM, putting the diverse creators of the NFT photography movement into focus. Together with Eleanor Breezy from Breezy Art, we would like to welcome our guest today, which is Misan Harriman, a photographer, creative director, and cultural commentator who has a unique eye for narrative and has captured the attention of many editors and celebrities around the world. Misan, thank you for so much for coming and speaking to us today.
What's up? What's up? Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
And this is fantastic. And Eleanor, thanks for putting us together. We're so excited to have Miss Anne here and to talk about your story, about your adventures in the NFT world, and much more. Just to get everyone started and level set a bit, please tell us about yourself. Who is Miss Anne?
Gosh, I'm somebody that I'm 44 years old, and I would say for most of my life I didn't know who I was. That's the true answer. Up until the day my wife bought me a camera, and everything came full circle. That was only 4 years ago. So I taught myself on YouTube how to take pictures 4 years ago. And today I am lucky to be, one of the more recognized photographers on the planet. And it's important when I talk about my story to say that, because I was 40 years old when I realized what my true calling was. And as somebody who's very neurodiverse, I'm very dyslexic. I dropped out of school. I failed every exam. I dropped out of university. Um, I want those listening to know that it's never too late to take that road traveled and listen to your inner child. I am living, breathing proof of where it can take you.
Man, that is quite the story. Wow, how did you get started in the photography and art world?
It's funny because a lot of people knock social media, but the truth is, I started taking pictures of my friends, and they were not celebrities; they were just regular folk, and people started responding quite strongly to the imagery. And then, in the summer of 2020, George Floyd, as we know, was murdered, and I remember looking to my wife and saying, I don't have any more tears. I my well is run dry. I don't know what to do anymore. Um, and she looked at me and she said, "Look to your camera." And I picked up my camera and I took the train to London, not knowing whether there'll be any protests or whether anyone would turn up. And for the next few weeks, I started documenting one of the most extraordinary um, showcases of the very best of the human condition. I then started posting those pictures on my own Instagram. And I remember overnight, everything changed. The son of Martin Luther King himself, Martin Luther King III, happened to use, somebody showed him my picture and he used it to make his big statement on race and how we could all be better as one. And off the back of that, Vogue and Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, the Kardashians, blah, 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 all sorts of people were using my images. And I then got commissioned by British Vogue to shoot the September issue. Now, if you know anything about fashion, you understand that the September issue is by far the most important issue in the fashion calendar. And I was asked, a then unknown photographer, to shoot this gatefold. So I shot the cover and 18 other people. And in doing that, I made history by being the first black man in the history of British Vogue in 104 years to shoot any cover, let alone the September issue. And from that moment onwards, I've been on an extraordinary ride using my lens for purpose, helping people see light within themselves with my images, helping people pause and think about maybe the history of civil rights in a way that they may never have done before. And we'll show some of my images a bit later, and I can run you through some of that.
Wow, what an amazing story. So, and just so I understand, before you got involved with this, before you went to London and took the train and started using your camera to get involved in what
Mhm.
was going on, what was your social media like before that? I mean, what type of following did you have before you started getting involved? I'm just curious.
I think initially I had about 2,000 followers before my imagery, started capturing the moment. And obviously, I don't know, I got 100,000 or something on Instagram and 900,000 on Facebook and 14 or 15,000 on Twitter. So obviously it grew exponentially with the images, as things tend to.
Yeah, and I understand why. I mean, when you start to look at the images, they are quite something. I mean, and traditionally before this, I mean, I know that you're involved in the arts and whatnot, but what kind of background did you have in arts? And tell us a little bit about what you do today for. I know you work
Yeah.
for. Tell us a little more.
Yeah.
South Bank.
South Bank. Yep, South
Yeah,
Bank.
yeah. So although I picked up the camera just 4 years ago, my whole life I've been training my eye for this. Art and culture, film, music, photography has saved my life. I was a boy who had a pretty tough time as a child, and I found safety and solace in the pages of books, in the notes of song, in the sweet territory of the one magical thing that Homo sapiens do, which is art. You cannot defend yourself against a Leonard Cohen song or Pablo Neruda poetry or listening to Maria Callas or Joni Mitchell. You can't. And I realized that I've always wanted to use that as my weapon to reach other people that maybe have gone through some of the similar childhood traumas that I went through. So I've always been using art to reach others, to take the heavy burden of the slings and arrows of life away from them. So it's probably not surprising that when the world finally discovered me in my 40s, a lot of cultural institutions could see that I may add value to their founding principles. And I am now the chairman of possibly the world's largest, definitely the largest multi-art center in Europe, a place called the South Bank Center on the banks of the River Thames in London. It's 18 acres dedicated to art and culture. We have the Royal Festival Hall, the Queen Elizabeth Halls, the Purcell Rooms, our skate park. And it's really a place where it doesn't matter where you're from, you can come here and get free experiences for yourself and your children and your friends that will hopefully make you feel a little bit lighter when you walk away from our facilities. Very similar to the Lincoln Center, I would say, in New York, to the Americans that are listening. And again, I'm the youngest chair of any major cultural institution that I know of, and the first Black chair of the South Bank Center or any major cultural institution in the UK. And it's the greatest honor of my life to serve others using the art and culture that has made me find my own calling.
Wow, that I'm so inspired.
Can I just say that I was very, it's very fascinating when when I think about Misan. I haven't been knowing him for a long time, but the completeness, the whole of how one person has one mission in life, and it is so part of him that he does it as a person, like as a man, as an artist, gives it back to society through one institution. So it really, like, it's the all pieces of the same puzzle, and it's very rare to find someone who has all this channel, like who can channel all these same purposes to society, to, of course, to humanity through art, and for himself as a person, and all the goals that he reached personally. So it is very fascinating and very understandable through his, if you look at what he does at the center, And if you look at his art and if you hear his personal story, it's very beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's just unbelievably inspiring. And wow, what a story. It's amazing to hear, especially, the journey that you've been through. It's quite something. I mean, I've also had, I kind of resonate with it because I've had learning disabilities in the past, and trouble with focusing, and yeah, just to hear, how you've taken those things, you've looked to art, and you've actually, I mean,
well, it's really important that I join you in this moment to say that for 39 years of my life, I was ashamed of my mind. Ashamed. I thought that there was something wrong with me, and I'm saying this because people like you that are listening, and people like the people in the audience that have felt different. The internet, just like how the NFT community, we found each other, has allowed me to realize that my mind is beautiful, and my mind is needed, and my mind is worthy. And it is that mind that has made me one of the most successful image makers on the planet. That different mind that I was ashamed of. It is that mind that allows me to have empathy for others unreservedly. I take more joy from lifting others than my own career. And it's also that mind that allows me to celebrate in my imperfections, my vulnerability. And I want to make sure other people listen to me and go down that path, because it leads you to places you would never imagine you could ever get to.
Wow, I love your perspective. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. And do you mind if I show the pictures
Oh
of
no,
your
please,
collection?
please.
Okay. All right, I'm going to put them on screen because this kind of it speaks to what we're talking about. Everything, and if you would take us through these, I think everyone would love it.
Great. So this is the first image. This is actually on the first day that I went out, and this was in a place called Trafalgar Square, kind of similar to Times Square in New York. And I was just utterly overwhelmed on this day. It was a very hot summer's day, and I remember seeing this young woman, this mother, with her child on her shoulders, and all the other people behind them. And I was looking through the viewfinder, and I realized, dude, this isn't just 2 or 3 people standing next to a soapbox. This feels different. Little did I know what was going to come. If you go to the next image. So this is the partner, the father of the lady you just saw, and this image just is its purpose and its hope. You have a father there that is not going to repeat the mistakes that he had to live through. And you have children there that are going to be very, very aware of how to do right by themselves, by learning from their parents. And it's a really important point because, when you're talking about race, a lot of people have very different views to their parents. So it's really nice to take a picture of a family that, even from the very beginning, are united in trying to make the world a brighter place. Next image, please. Oh boy. As a black man, as a black person, I can tell you that sometimes it feels like death by 1,000 cuts. And after the murder of George Floyd, a lot of people, their trauma that they've been burying within themselves, it just climbed out of them. They had all the rooms where they've been locking their pain away, those doors were broken. And this is a woman who, this is not like a studio shoot. This is real, right? And what was coming out of her was the frustration, of a life where she's been bending herself just to survive. And a lot of other photographers were there, and they were trying to climb up to shoot her at her level, and I stayed down, and she's above me, and she's up at the heavens, really asking for something, an answer that hopefully a lot of us good people will try and help her find. Next image, please. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is the image that broke me. It was about halfway through my time taking pictures, and I was really struggling. You know, I had a new baby in the house, and I was going out to all these protests, and I was seeing so much hope, but also a lot of my own personal trauma. I could see it in the images that I was taking, and it was 4 a.m. and I was looking through my edit, and I come across this image, and I just started crying and crying. And I wasn't crying because I was hurting. I was crying because this image is hope. This image is humanity. This is a boy who, as you can see, has physical disabilities. He's on a wheelchair, and he's holding his mother's hand, and you probably can't see, but his mother is in tears. And I just thought, if this boy who has a lot of difficulties himself can come out to Parliament Square and fight for the rights of people that look like me, and then behind you see all these fists, mainly white fists, mainly people that don't even know my lived experience, but they have empathy and goodness in their hearts. It gave me hope in a way that I hadn't felt in a long time. And it is an image I truly cherish, and it's also an image that I will show to people if we ever forget how good we can be when we are one. Next image, please. Sometimes a great image it composes itself. So this is an image of a black man looking up, and you know, it's a lovely composition, something about his eyes that say so much. But what makes this an extraordinary image, in my opinion, is that there is somebody unconnected to him holding a sign, and you can only see the first 2 lines. Mm-hmm. And they say it all. I am not a moment. Can you see us now? I am not a moment. Can you see us now? And there's nothing left to say about this image. Next image, please. You know what? These kids that I met out on the street, they're different from us. They're just different. They've had so much taken away from them. Many of them will never earn as much money as people my age. Many of them will never see as much of the world in this age of COVID, but they have this thing called purpose and empathy tattooed into their consciousness. And I'm just so bloody proud of them. They came out, and you know, you effed with the last generation is their war cry. They have seen enough of the mistakes of their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents' generation, and they will not stand for the echoes of the past dictating our present and certainly shaping our future. And it gives me so much hope that this next generation knows that they have a duty of care to fight the greatest ill of modern man. Next image, please. Now, I don't know how many hip-hop heads are part of the whale community, but let me tell you, if I tried to retake this image 1 million times, it would be impossible. This culturally is a remarkable image. So Public Enemy, their greatest album is called Fear of the Black Planet. To have me be lucky enough to be stood in the right place, to have a black man with his fist in the air wearing Fear of a Black Planet with Madiba, the statue of Nelson Mandela, on Parliament Square with his arms open, outstretched. I mean, many museums around the world would have approached me to have this image in their permanent collection for obvious reasons, and I'm very proud to be the person that has taken it. Next image, please. Oh, Juno. It's hard to not get emotional. I've really struggled many times when I'm out there shooting these protests, and in a moment where I was just like, I can't really do this anymore today, and I was going to go home. I'm walking, and on the sidewalk, there's this man with this angel, this newborn child tucked into his jacket. And I'm just like, what? And if I know anything, I know that the very best of us is in our children. There is something celestial in our youngest. And I needed to see this little angel called Juno. I now know the family. And this is Juno looking out at, again, a group of people that are using their sense of purpose to try and make Juno's future brighter. And Juno has a father and a mother that are, feel that you cannot live life without being an activist. Whether it's climate change, whether it's the rights for people with visible or invisible disabilities, or whether it is the rights of people, brown and black people, that have had to deal with systematic racism for generations. And this was my portrait of an extraordinary father with his beautiful child. Next image, please. So this is my most viral image. I've been told that this is by far the most shared civil rights image in modern history. It is my image that was auctioned at Sotheby's for charity. And it's outside the US Embassy. And it's a young woman that I'm now very close to called Darcy Bourne, holding the sign. And the reason I think this went so viral, because it asks a very simple question. Why is ending racism even a debate? And I think a lot of us are ashamed to ask that question, but this forces us to. And the one thing I've learned about my images and the signs that I photographed is, what's special about signs? We read them in our own voice. We read these signs in our own voice, and it becomes that much more personal. Also, with my composition photographically, as I stood back, I shot this with a 90mm lens. As I press the shutter, as you can see, somebody behind Darcy punches their fists in the air. And I think the combination of the purpose in her eyes, the fact that she's wearing a bandana, not a traditional COVID mask, and the fist laced with that image makes this, again, a once-in-a-lifetime image that literally billions of people have seen. This is the image that the son of Martin Luther King used to make his statement on race. Can you imagine me, a boy born in Nigeria, raised in London, that took a picture that the son of Martin Luther King himself is using to make his statement on race?
I'm so speechless. Wow. Yeah.
Told you.
Yeah.
I think there are a few more, and then we can talk about NFTs and my story there. I think. Again, a lot of museums want this one too. So this, I'm an unapologetic supporter of the gay and trans community, and they are marginalized within an already marginalized group of people. And this group this photograph I call the family. And I was very lucky. I was heading home, and they were coming in my direction, and they recognized me, and I had my camera, a long lens, and this could be in the streets of New York in the 1960s. You would never know that this is London. In fact, that's the Houses of Parliament behind them. And not only is this community beautiful, but they bring so much life into all of our lives. And the idea that any of these beautiful souls have had to deal with the traumas that they've had to just because of who they are is something that is incredibly unacceptable for me. And if my camera can shine a light for the plights of this community, it's something that I will do for as long as I live. Next image, please. I shot a lot of celebrities. I've been very lucky. You may have. So, I mean, 2 of my images last year were amongst the most shared images on the whole internet. One of them was the image of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry announcing that they are having a second child. I'm sure you may have seen that. And then recently I shot Angelina Jolie on the roof of a hotel in London, and that's the most shared image in a long time on Vogue in terms of clicks and eyeballs and everything else. But this is an image of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest racing driver ever to live, Lewis Hamilton. And like Muhammad Ali, you can achieve a lot on a racetrack or in a boxing ring, but what takes you to the next level is always who you are, what you stand for. And I took this image of Lewis, with just a shot of light running across him with his fists in the air. And it represents who he is. He has been unapologetic, using his huge platform to fight for the plight of the gay and trans community, of obviously Black Lives Matter and people that look like him and me. And like me, he's also dyslexic. And I love to see people that have huge influence fight for what they believe is right. Thank you very much for letting me share some of those images. My NFT journey, I guess, is something worth you knowing about. So I'm a hardcore gamer. I was ranked number 1 in the world, top 5 in the world in a couple of console games, Top Spin Tennis, Call of Duty Zombies, Pro Evolution Soccer. I was a kid that spent all of my money on the arcade games instead of the rides. And, I was changing my horses' outfits in Zelda and buying virtual items and games in the 90s. So the idea of putting value to anything virtual is just normal to me. And I first bought my first JPEG in 2013. I was laughed out of every room that I went into, saying, hey, I just bought a Damien Hirst for £15 in 2013 when he first did his first affordable digital prints. And that was pre-blockchain for many people. So that's how early I am in this game. So I'm a pretty serious collector on Tezos, Ethereum, and Cardano. So I'm multi-chain. Instead of doing a drop 18 months ago or even last year, I've been collecting and understanding what this community is about. And finally, I've decided to do my first Genesis solo drop, which will be called The Purpose of Light. And it will be a selection of some of the images you've seen. It will be 100 one-of-ones over the period of this year. The first drop will be 25 images. And it will be an opportunity for folks to own history. I mean, these images I've taken are already a part of history, and I would love you to be the custodians of that on the blockchain. I can't wait to share my edit with you, and hopefully have some of you take ownership of a really, really important part of my digital life.
Wow, that there's a lot because when you said gaming, my ears obviously perked up because we have very similar journeys there. Yeah, I'm a huge gamer and have been since, basically I could walk back in the 80s. So yeah, really, really awesome to hear you say that. Again, we definitely share some interests. It's for me. So you started collecting JPEGs early, and then you jumped into the NFT space. And I love that you're putting your collection on this. So every image that we just looked at is just absolutely stunning and amazing. I mean, no joke. I don't even know. I have so many questions on how do you pick these? I mean, you're using a camera, you're doing this, you're taking multiple pictures at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through this selection. How do you? I mean, you kind of mentioned it before on what's your process to actually pick the right one? Because I'm sure that there's a bunch of them that could be the right one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think they pick me.
Okay,
I
I
think they
like
pick
that.
me.
I like that answer.
I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. Whether I write poetry, I'm making my first film at the moment, and there is a tribe of us souls out there that know when we have what we need, and I've always been that person. When I shoot celebrities, I'm in and out. I'm in and out in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When a lot of people they used to spend 3 hours. I know when I have what I need. I know when I have the truth. I am a custodian of truth. It is my job to use my camera to listen to the whispers of your soul. And when I hear those whispers, I become the custodian of a part of somebody's story. So I know what images the world needs to see.
Custodian of truth.
That is so beautiful.
Okay, let me ask this question, although there's nothing to add here. These photos that we have seen, I don't even have questions about those because I don't know what to ask about those. But what do you think that as a custodian of truth, which is a definition that I will never forget, you were going through your photos and some of them, I mean, all of them, but some specific photos, you were like, it's a combination of factors that you will never think that will happen. Like that sculpture with that jacket and you as a photographer. How do you see the blockchain technology adding to that? Not for ownership or copyright or from the market perspective, but that making something eternal, which is you already have done with your hands and your camera. You make that moment eternal. How can the blockchain add to that?
It's funny, as you know, the traditional art world is the biggest unregulated market in the world, where it's very hard to prove actual provenance. And the fact is, blockchain technology, smart contract technology, can irrevocably prove scarcity and ownership in a way that has never been possible since the beginning of modern history. Yeah, folks, it's that big a deal. And what does that mean for artists? It means for artists that people that truly cherish the work that I do can know that they have true connection to what I'm going to be putting out as a working artist on the blockchain. And that's a really, really special thing, because let's say you're a collector of one of my pieces, and I'm making this up right now, but you own a few of my one of ones, and you look at the pictures and you're just like, I want to know more. I want to know more about this image. And just like I am adding detail to the story behind, I can then put extra detail onto the metadata, and we can play around with immersing yourself more into these historic images. And I think that's an extraordinary thing. And also, extra utility for those that also like an analog experience with digital. So I have a plan for my later collections that if people want extra information that isn't on chain, I will make vinyl of me speaking, giving depth to the story. And imagine sitting down looking at the NFT on your digital screen, or on a big screen at home, and then you put on a vinyl and you listen to my voice, and I hopefully poetically talk about the fidelity and the story behind the image. This is a new dawn where I believe the analog and digital world are going to do a beautiful waltz of creativity together, whilst knowing that the provenance of ownership of these historical works are irrevocably proven to be yours as a collector, that it can never be some kind of fraud or copy. And I think that's a really interesting combination of factors.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you 100%, because I think the value for us, even in this interview that we're doing right now, is listening to you talk about each piece and your experience with them. And I think that adds so much value and utility to what is already amazing, just looking at the image itself.
And access to me. Look, let's be honest, I'm selling at places like Sotheby's. The National Portrait Gallery in England has just acquired 2 of my images for their permanent collection. Now, what chance in the traditional world would a lot of folks that are listening have access to my works?
None. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me that I can reach this new community that may want to support me, and they are from all 4 corners of this globe. And I love that, because I can't stand gatekeeping. Having reached the top of the photography sort of world, I've been in the rooms that I never thought I would get into. And guess what? To have 1 or 2 people that decide that my art is worthy is absolute. It's an abomination from my point of view. And I love the fact that this technology democratizes merit-based opportunity. If there is a photographer with more talent in a little finger than I have, that happens to be born in Caracas or Lagos, and they don't even own passports, right? Where the household income is less than $250 a week, we can support them in a way that we've never been able to do. And that's one of the most extraordinary things about smart contract and blockchain technology is, yes, we can celebrate great artists from the developed world, but I'm very excited about supporting at least 50% of my collection are people from the developing world, at least 50%. Indonesian artists, people from the continent of Africa, from South America. I just love looking for them. And a lot of the times they're not always on Ethereum because they can't afford to mint on Ethereum. So I have to go on Tezos. And now I'm going to look for them on Solana. I'm saying this because I think a lot of people in this community are probably already done very well collecting. And don't forget, as you climb in life, lift others. We're building this new world. And we mustn't make the same mistakes from the old world through muscle memory in this new world that all of us have a responsibility to shape. Sorry, sermon over.
No, that's amazing, because that's actually our core values at the whale community, is that we're trying to help everybody become a whale through whale. And that's you hit on one of the core factors that we love. And learning about NFTs and helping people in other countries, and all of that is something that we thrive ourselves to do and keep going for. So I'm so glad that you said that, because for me, like, owning a piece of yours that would be in a gallery or something, and allowing to have an NFT like that, and some small place in the US that I would never have access to in my life, is a huge honor. So I love that you're so into NFTs like we are too. So cool.
NFTs will change the world.
And we were talking about this the other day, myself and DC, when I called them to talk about UOBs, and I was like, and we were like, this is access. Like, how did it even happen to me that I receive a call by Misan and he wants to talk about his collection, and we do it for the community, for all these people, including me, you, DC, and everyone. So it really is. I mean, hopefully the new world, as you were saying, the free world, the peer-to-peer world, without getting too much into the religion of decentralization, but we are witnessing that. So yes, access. That's what's happening today to us in this hour.
Absolutely. And I'm on Twitter Spaces a lot, and I'm going into rooms, and I'm not seeing enough women. I'm not hearing enough different accents. It sounds very, very, very North American and sometimes European. And we just need to make sure, we give people spaces. It's really, really important. And I know a big part of the whale community is about that, which is why you've all grown so fast. And it was important to me to speak. Eleonora kindly suggested this, and I feel very happy to at least let you know a little bit of my story. And if it's not about collecting my work, it's about understanding the man that I am and how I want to live my life. And hopefully that could rub off on you, to, if you're not already heading in that direction, maybe I can point you towards that direction, and we can have a positive new year upon us.
Man, that is so cool. I do have some questions for you that I think some of our photographers would love to hear your thoughts on. What role do you think that NFTs can play? And this is really speaks to your work in advocacy and awareness, because it is quite the new technology. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, human beings, we're very tribal in nature, and I think we need to be very careful in the NFT landscape. Right now, collectibles are making a lot of money, and people are flipping collectibles and, creating a whole new culture out of that, which is fine. A lot of people, their lives are being changed in unrecognizable manners, but that doesn't mean that is the NFT space. At the end of the day, the photography I'm seeing that is coming into the space right now is just mind-bogglingly good. And I hope that the same amount of liquidity that is buying the next hamster, ape / cat derivative can actually think about the importance of supporting the storytellers. We are the storytellers, and the world needs us to bear witness. And it's, when I say bear witness, it's everything from a protest to a beautiful sunset, a landscape, figurative work. We have to bear witness, because art and culture, as I see it, is the only magic that Homo sapiens can do. It sets us apart from the rest of the national kingdom. The natural kingdom. It really, really, really does. William Randolph Ing has this quote that says that if our friends in fur and feather could formulate a religion, they would depict man as a devil. Let me repeat that. If our friends in fur and feather can formulate a religion, they would depict man as the devil. Why? Because in general, if you look at history, Homo sapiens, us, have not done too well by this planet. But our one redeeming thing, our one magic is within art and culture. The images, the songs, dance, all of it. It's our way of bringing something otherworldly into this existence. So for the photographers that have this ability to paint with light, you are visual poets, and the world needs that more than ever. We've all just been through collective trauma of the likes that we haven't seen since the Second World War. COVID has made us go through trauma collectively. There's no one that that hasn't been through a roller coaster in the last 18 months. So with the mental health ramifications of what we've all been through, we need these images. We need this art. We need this music. We need it more than ever before. So blockchain technology amplifies it and makes it borderless. It also puts value to it when so much of the value in art had been destroyed by the likes of Instagram and TikTok. So it's a very, very special moment, but we mustn't make the same mistakes as the past.
As I say, it's the vaccine for the soul.
Amen. Wow. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Your perception and yeah, it's so invaluable. So I'm really glad that we get to share these experiences and your thoughts on these, because I think that this type of advice is something that a lot of photographers and artists are looking for. You know, if you now seeing, okay, so you know, I don't know, how does it feel? Okay, so I have two questions here. How does it feel to be known as the most talked about photographer of our times? That is quite the title, right? And then the second half of the question is, how does someone, I mean, your story kind of hit on this in the beginning, is how does someone that's just getting started get seen, and overcome the challenges of being someone who is just starting out and really wants to get out there into the world?
Well, it's kind of the same answer. So being seen as, you know, one of the leading photographers in the world, every time I hear that or I read it in a newspaper, I just think about the little boy that was scared of the world, the little boy that is a man today. And I think about my challenges with self-love, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. And I think about how perfectly imperfect I am. And for those that are just starting out, listen, I was a nobody 4 years ago, you know, and I just stayed true, and I celebrated all my little wins. I celebrated the little parts of the journey that no one will talk about now, but you know, whether it's learning, fully understanding your camera, understanding how you want to be a photographer, those are little things. And I trusted in fate. I waltzed with fate and stayed true to myself. I didn't try and be any other type of photographer, but the only photographer that I knew how to, that likes to shoot with natural light, that doesn't like retouching, that doesn't like studio work. That's me. And I stayed true to that. Even though many people told me to try and be something else, I didn't know how to be. And the universe, I guess, conspired to find me. So to those that are just starting out, steady your sails and look toward the horizon with your camera in hand. Keep shooting and let fate be your master.
Fantastic. Wow. This time kind of went a lot faster than I thought it would. It's just quite amazing to see what's going on and meet you and listen to you. I think I'm really glad that the universe chose to you know, swing things your way, because, you know, listening to your story and everything is so inspiring to everybody. It just makes sense. So I'm so glad that you're getting to share yourself with everyone. It's so cool.
Thank you very much. I don't have a date for my drop, but you know, as you will see, Eleonora will let everyone know what's going to go down, and you know, I hope you enjoy going on this crazy journey with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, Eleonora, please share with us anything that you would like us to know, because I'm sure that we could take a few minutes and just kind of focus on the drop and what to expect.
I will.
Yeah, I mean, it's still waiting on a few of the.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought when it's ready. Yeah, I think the Misan is working on that.
I'm still working on it, but soon it'll be probably next month. I would reckon it'll be next month. So there's still a bit of time, but that will be 25 one of ones, I believe. But I'm still figuring everything out. So as soon as I know, I will share with this community.
That's awesome. And we would love to have you back on and to look at the drop and kind of get some more information about it, because this is something that I think is very special. And I do agree with what you said. You know, this new culture that's becoming, you know, NFT culture. You know, there's different factions out there now, for sure. And I do love the focus that we're doing on photography and also art here at the Whale community, because that's the like you said, there's just a lot of value in that, and so yeah, we'd love to have you back on to talk about your drop and then get some details for everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all for having me. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. I'm hearing you very bad. But thank you so much. Yeah, today this is technology. Still have to deal with technology. The StreamYard was a disaster. But thank you so much for being here, Misan. It was like a honor, a pleasure. I think that I will be inspired for the rest of I don't know, at least the next month, full of inspiration after this hour with you. And thank you for being a custodian of truth. We hope that to have you here again, and that we'll talk about the drop and the more technical and technical stuff. But for today, I will really leave it with the story. That was amazing.
Great. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
This is amazing. Bye, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Camera Culture. For those of you that are with me right now, Misan and Eleonora, please stay for a couple minutes. I'd like to say a few words with you. And everyone else, we'll see you next time.